Welcome, Clear Vision Wednesday. Today's topic is how to work with the weaker eye. And before we begin, one of my biggest things is the language. So weak means that like, oh my God, that eye is weak, it's not as good. And why that might be something common that we say, I like you to think about a weaker eye more as a like more challenged or more struggling, but not like weak, as in, weak is usually a bad thing. So don't label one eye as bad and the other one as good or weak and better. So that's the first thing I want to say. And then before we begin, I want to just share a few tools that might be helpful for working with a eye that is different eye levels in terms of visual acuity or peripheral vision. So one thing I like to use are occluders. These are the cheap glasses from the 99-cent store where I just popped out one lens, and then obviously you know depending, I have one for each side. You might only need one for one side, but basically I just spray painted one side black, or you can use duct tape and then you just pop out the other lens. So it's like these cheap dollar store glasses. Another thing that's helpful is an eye patch. This again costs just a couple bucks. And then if we have time, maybe we can do a little bit with a string, which is just a piece of rope. So let's begin. I just want to share those tools first, in case you're watching this as a replay. So the first thing is I want you to think about the relationship of your eyes. And this might sound a little woo-woo, but think of your eyes as personalities. So what is your right eye's personality? And for that, it might actually help to just cover one eye and like be like, okay, my right side, feels like, I don't want to tell you what I feel, but like how does your right eye, what's kind of the personality of this eye? Is it like, okay, I'm going to get going. I'm going to have this under control. I'm leading the way. Whatever comes up for you. And maybe write this down. Maybe like, I just want to take a chill pill, or I just want to rest. Like what is your right eye saying to you as you cover your left eye? And then take a moment, both eyes, and maybe how does the right eye feel now that the left eye is in the game, right? And then we will do the other side. So cover the right eye, and just be like, how is the left eye feeling? The left eye is like, look at all the beauty around me, like just connect to like kind of what kind of feelings come up. Personality does this eye have? Does it is it playful? Is it more driven? Like whatever comes up for you. So there's no right or wrong. And then you come back to both eyes together. And what is the relationship? And since we're talking about an eye that's more challenged or more struggling, again, I don't like the word weaker, even though that's a common word, but think about like that eye that's struggling more. And let's just pretend it's the right eye, right? I'm just making something up. Maybe for you, it's the left. But how does that right eye feel compared to the eye that's performing better or more efficient or has clearer vision or whatever is, easier for the other eye? Does it feel like the underdog? Does it feel like left out? Does it feel like it's not fully participating in the game? Because great vision is really, right, our two eyes being a great team, being best buddies, being the best friend siblings, doing all the things together because they are together all day long. But maybe your eyes or the relationship between your eyes doesn't feel that way. Or maybe the better eye, the so-called better eye, is really resentful. That other eye is not, it's like, one eye is, it's like two horses pulling, and the one horse, or like a husky, pulling a little sleigh. Like one is like, hey, dude, you better catch up. Like I'm doing all the work here. So really connect with that relationship between your eyes. Like what do they both feel individually, as their own kind of personality, and what is their relationship? Are they friends? Are they grudgingly like colleagues? You have to work together, but God, you wish you could get away with from them. Or are they really happy to be together? And maybe even entertain the idea of giving them names. If you would name your right eye, what name would you give your right eye? What name would you give your left eye? So I think this is really, really valuable kind of connection to your eyes. individually and together as a pair. And then also to your whole personality, right? Do you feel more a right-eyed person? Do you feel more a left-eyed person? And that leads us into another topic called dominance, right? We all have dominance. We have a dominant hand, we have a dominant foot, we have a dominant hip, we have dominance all over the body. But most commonly, there's an easy test I will show you right now that works most commonly to determine the dominance. However, if one of your eyes, the eye that's struggling more, is amblyopic or has very poor vision or has maybe just light perception, then let's say, as an example, let's say my right eye can see, just light perception, almost very little. And when I do this test that I'm about to show you, that might not show up as the dominant eye, even though it could be the dominant eye, because if the vision is so poor in one eye, then the brain will make the other eye the preferred eye, which is not true dominance. So, but for most of you here, or most of you listening, that have one eye that is, let's say, -5 diopters and the other one is -2.5, or if you are farsighted, one eye is, can read without, glasses on, and for the other eye, you need like a +3 reading glasses or something like that, where there's some discrepancy. This test usually should work. And the way you do it, you make a little triangle, you make a little teeny tiny triangle with your hands, then you stretch out your arms, not like this, you stretch out your arms, and then you find a focal point. I have eye charts on the wall, you can use anything, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to show it like this. And then you look through your little peephole, and I'm looking at myself on a YouTube here on my second screen, and you don't shift your arms or your head, you keep everything still, and then either you have a person helping you, or if you can squint one eye shut, let's say, close the left eye. Is the image still there? From here it is. Now close the right eye. Is the image still there? No, it's gone. So when you close the dominant eye, because the hole is so small, even though you look with both eyes together, only one eye can really look through. Another test to find this out could be looking through a camera or a viewfinder. Or if you make a little, you roll up a little piece of paper, would you hold it in front of your right eye or your left eye? I can't even do it with the left eye. Like I would have to, I would really struggle. And that is your dominant eye. And so sometimes people think the dominant eye is the one that's better, right? That can see better, but that is not always the case. A lot of times the dominant eye could be the one that is the, weaker eye, or the one that's struggling more. So there is a different approach how to work with an eye that's struggling more. It really makes a difference if it's the dominant eye or the non-dominant eye. And if you have questions on YouTube, feel free to share them. In the YouTube, I don't see any comments yet. Nope, there's no comments. But so let's start assuming the dominant eye is also the one that's struggling more. So for me, and this is my experience with a lot of clients, the dominant eye is not a big fan of patching. Like if I were to patch my right eye, which is my dominant eye, in this example, eye patch is really old and really loose, I would have to tighten this, but yeah, it's gonna fall down. But if I were to patch my right eye would not be excited about this. It would be like, get me out of here. I want to, I'm the leader here. I'm the one running the show. If I would patch my left eye, my non-dominant eye, sorry, it would be like, it's fine. We can do this. That's totally easy. And you might have a different experience. So for me, what I found more helpful than patching the eye if it's the dominant eye, again, if the eye that's not challenged is the dominant eye, what I found more helpful is actually to let that eye be kind of play around on its own. And this is where I like occluders. You can definitely use an eye patch. I need to fix my hair here. You can definitely use an eye patch. Test it out, right? The good thing, if you use occluders, you still have peripheral vision in that eye that is not seeing the things ahead, right? You still have some peripheral vision, so it might feel less obstructing. But either way, so this is one option. If you don't have that, use the eye patch, put the eye patch on the other eye, and then notice, how is this? How is this now with the eye that's more challenged? Just be curious. Maybe, walk around. Look around. What do you see? don't focus so much on clarity or other things you don't see, but what do you see? Maybe what colors do you see? You know, if you walk around, you know, you have to be careful because you don't have depth perception with one eye, but, you know, just checking things out. You know, find some joy and relax. And what I did this a lot. My right eye was always the challenged eye, especially when I was stressed out, the astigmatism would flare up. And it's also my dominant eye, and it would get really, things would get really blurry. But when I patched I discovered this, and with lots of my students too, I patched my left eye, or used the occluders, either way. And initially everything was really blurry, like much worse than it was with both eyes. But then after a while, I was blinking, breathing, relaxing, and then suddenly things would clear up. But I wasn't, you know, I had to be like, you can do this. This is easy. This is fun. I enjoy seeing with you, you know, talking, like being excited about this eye versus like, oh God, everything is blurry. You can't see anything. You're the weak eye, you know. So talk to your more challenged eye, you know, like your best friend. Like you wouldn't tell your best friend, you suck at doing this stuff, you know. Be encouraging. So this is one way. And I usually, when I did this stuff, I would do it at the computer too, because my ability to clear things up would be pretty quick. But I would not do this for maybe, you know, especially if you do reading or something, I didn't do it for more than 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most. And usually what I noticed after I did that, you know, just covering that eye that was seeing better and leaving my dominant, you know, more challenged eye by itself, that my vision overall was a whole lot better afterwards with both eyes together. Now, let's switch gears. If the eye that's more challenged is the non-dominant eye, what I find really helpful is kind of the same thing that we just did. If assuming this is my non-dominant eye, my left eye, and it's also the one that has more blurry vision or has other challenges. So that eye really might enjoy rest. And even if the dominant eye might also enjoy rest, I forgot to say that earlier. So, you know, explore. I tested this with my right dominant eye that's more challenged to give it more rest by doing one-sided palming while I was seeing with the other eye or an eye patch. And my right eye did not improve at all. It didn't have any benefit. But, you know, be curious, maybe for you, even if it's your dominant eye that's more challenged, maybe for you, resting it more might be really helpful. So I didn't want to say that doesn't work. It's just for me that wasn't as helpful as letting that eye actually be on its own without the other eyes being like, hey, but I'm better at this. It was like, but I want to see I'm dominant. And the left eye is like, no, but I can do this better. Like, just stop looking, let me do the job. And so it was always this kind of fighting. And when I patched my left eye and, you know, I would just basically get the right eye by on its own, it was like, oh my God, finally this other guy is, you know, this other eye is out of the way and I can just be myself and relax and see. So, but if your more challenged eye is the non-dominant eye, then, you know, you can do either of these techniques with either eye, it doesn't matter. But for me, what I found more helpful with my students is that the non-dominant eye, if it's the one more challenged, that it actually likes to rest. And, you know, that's when you can put an eye patch on or occluders on, especially an eye patch works really nicely for the non-dominant eye. And, you know, maybe do that for like, you know, half an hour or even like, and just notice, does this eye feel like, oh God, I can finally take a break? So this is really where there is no cookie cutter formula. It really comes down to testing and exploring and trying different things. And then lastly, what I wanted to share with you is, so the string is, this is the Brock string. It's basically a piece of rope. I have some markers on it. You don't really need any markers, but these are just binder clips. Those are not necessary, but if you do with both eyes, if you look at a piece of rope, and you can have a way longer one, you can have a 20-foot long or 10-foot one, you just have to attach it to something. And you hold it under your nose and you look at the rope, you should see an X. You should see 2 ropes. And depending on where you look at the string, it looks like this, right? Like depending on where you look, the X should cross wherever you focus on. Now, if you do this, and one of your strings looks really like, let's say I have a white one here, and one of your strings looks really white, and the other one looks like a shadow or very gray, or like it's very faint or pieces are missing, that's the string that your more challenged eye sees. And in this case, it can be really helpful to like just determine which eye, close one eye and then the other, determine which eye is the one that mine look the same. So, you know, because I also work on this a lot, but determine which eye sees the fainter string. And then you can do a little bit of practice by, again, I think occluders are great for this. Putting on occluders. And then obviously now you're only going to see one string, right? That with one eye, you can never see two. If you see two strings, then that's astigmatism or something else. And now you can do a little bit of a practice with this eye that's more challenged. And this is where it's nice to have some clips or some beads or, you know, some markers, and maybe even have a longer string, especially if your vision is more challenged in the distance. A 10-foot or 20-foot long string is really nice. You attach it somewhere in the distance. I don't have anything set up. And you want to make sure that your string is attached somewhere like lower so that you look down, that you don't, you know, do this. You want to make sure you're looking down. So the string should be attached. The further away it is, it's really far away, 20 feet or 10 feet, it would could almost be attached close to the ground so that you're looking down. And that's really powerful practice to kind of look at all these markers, let your eyes kind of walk in, walk out, walk in, walk out. And then I usually close my eyes and I do it from memory. Walking in, walking out. You know, if you have different colored beads, you can be like red, green, red. You know, you can kind of in your mind or kind of follow those beads and go back in, back out. That could be really helpful. Or you can also, in addition to that, squeeze, you know, let's say squeeze a ball or activate that side of the brain. And then you do the string again with both eyes and see if they have become more equal, right? After doing this for a while, maybe the two strings have become more equal. So that's, I mean, there's a whole lot more you can do with that eye. So there's a whole lot more. I just wanted to give you a few tips how you can work with a so-called weaker eye. But I really encourage you to change your narrative and your story about that eye and send it more love versus being like, you're weak, you know, you need to go to the gym, you need to work out. It's more like, hey, how can I support you? You know, what do you need help with? What, you know, is there anything I can do? Would you like more rest? You know, would you like more rest? Calming? Or would you like to play by yourself? You know, like really, it sounds silly, but talking to your eyes or talking to what they feel and what they need is really what I encourage you to do. And then if their relationship is not good, you know, you can journal about it, you can be playful around it, but let that eye that's more challenged really let it shine. Don't make it like delegated to the second row because you're not good enough, you know. So I found that incredibly helpful with my students so that they discovered, oh, wow, my left eye has always been struggling, but now it's finally excited. I can do it. I can do it, you know. So that's it for today's class, Clear Vision Wednesday. For my Clear Vision students, I will continue to be with you on Zoom. And I'm finishing the YouTube live now. And if you are on YouTube watching, you feel free to comment and I will answer all your comments, all your questions in the comments. All right, live